Hey everyone, welcome to 90 Degree Turns, where we expand the minds, beliefs, and perspectives of the collective and awaken the sleeping many from their slumber. My name is Trisha Margus. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Petter Maxwell Slattery. So Peter, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
How would I go about that? So I'm sort of known for being an experiencer with ET contact and the paranormal. On the other side of things, I'm also known as a rap artist and a musician. I'm also an international best-selling author, and I've made documentaries. It's sort of, I don't even know what it is, what I do, but that's sort of just the gist of it anyway.
Okay, so do you kind of want to go through your transitions in life and how you start off as a rapper and kind of pave a pathway for us here?
Yeah, so I come from a town called Albury in Australia, which is about halfway between Melbourne and Sydney. And I came from a pretty good family. They split up when I was 4. My parents did. My mum was a model, my dad was a cop. But I was having experiences which I worked out around the time between 8 and 12, which is when my experiences started. But I had a female speak to me in my head probably about a year before that. And every time I got information, it was almost like prophecies and predictions. And I'd tell my mum or dad, and what I said would eventually end up happening. And then not long after that, I would see what looked like Kurt Cobain from Nirvana come into my room. Okay. And then I started to see him vibrate, and I could see between Kurt Cobain and a grey alien. And then eventually I actually saw what looked like a grey alien, but these were later revealed to me to be like the Guardians, and their skin is like if you get cigarette ash and hit it with your pinky finger, that texture, they're like that but really white. And yeah, so that's stuff happened like that. I had my first UFO sighting at 12. Around 12, just after that, I got on to drugs and was a bit wild. And then I ended up getting into music, and I was a drummer in a few different heavy metal bands and rock bands. I was sort of playing guitar and singing before that. But I ended up being in a bad crowd. Eventually was hanging around gangsters and bikies and all that sort of stuff. And they sort of funded me to get into music because they said, Pete, you don't need to be doing this. What are you doing? You're awesome at your music. So I really got a negative and turned it into a positive and pushed my life to be doing music. Now, the whole time I was having paranormal experiences, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. And so not long after that, I bought out my first album. My first single was on the evening news. Like, that was what was weird as well. It just seemed to just happen for me. I was top 10 on the independent charts for like 4 or 5 years. Recently, I left Australia and I was number 2. And I've done some like social work as well. One of my friends, he was a massive drug dealer in Australia. They pulled him out of jail because he changed his ways, and he started working with a bloke known as Father Bob over there. And I ended up being security for him, or hanging out with him doing social work, where we'll basically get prostitutes, pimps, drug dealers, drug addicts, and give them we'll give you money for 3 months to get you off the streets. And then I was still doing the rap thing after that, and all of a sudden I went back to my hometown and I started to have full-blown experiences that I started to capture on film.
Okay, so these experiences were more than just kind of seeing a being appear in your room or something. Were they outdoors? Were they... what was the location of them?
The location of it was in Albury, so I ended up on the Hollywood on the Gold Coast, which is like Hollywood here, but it's like a really famous place, the Gold Coast in Australia. And I was living there, I was in a penthouse at the time, I wasn't happy, came back to my hometown, Albury. I just got told to do it, and I wasn't happy. And so I used to walk into pubs and shout people and pass blunts around, crazy. So I was doing that lifestyle, but I wasn't happy. And so when I came back home, what happened was, even taking you back to the early years, I didn't know what I was communicating with. I didn't think if it was aliens, demons, angels, those greys that we now will know as greys, I didn't know what they were. I didn't think about it. As weird as it is, I've seen crazy crafts and things like that. But what happened was, I had one of my best friends with me, and I started to see and film objects outside my flat that I was living in. It's like an apartment on the ground level. And you could see the craft reacting to me, pointing at it. And I went to the air services going, can you tell me what this is? They're saying there's nothing there. There's no helicopters there. There's no planes there. The Australian Air Services, I've got 3 emails back from them.
So on their record, it's like nothing exists.
Nothing's there, but I've got the footage. And what happened was, eventually Prime News ended up doing an evening news piece on this because I was like, if you can work out what the hell this is, go straight ahead. Here's the footage, and they did a piece on it, and then after that, things started to get pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So you basically, growing up, you had a very neutral experience with whatever beings did come into your life.
Yeah, so the female always stayed with me.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I was a step ahead of everyone. It was like if I was in a bad circumstance or things were about to happen, I was about to get played, I was one step ahead somehow. And it was this female. And it wasn't just like with my life, it was with other people's lives, and it was with, worldwide type events. Like now I've predicted magnitudes, dates and times of earthquakes, terrorist type events, all this stuff. And I've stopped doing it now, but this is all on record, and the people that have been in my life have seen this, and we've sort of date coded them with emails. I'll email myself when I've got events that are about to happen, so you can't fake, on my email when the date and time that was written.
Yeah, it's stamped.
Yeah, so it's stamped, yeah.
So could you maybe tell our audience then, since you had a bit of a wild younger years kind of thing, and now you're a vegan, right?
Yeah, I'm vegan,
do you find that your change in lifestyle changed your ways in consciousness? Or was that always a part of you internally? Did you see any difference with your lifestyle changes?
Yeah, the energy for starters. So the energy in the sense, for me, sensing energies has enhanced, and just my energy. So I've got more stamina. I've got more, just longer lasting energy is the best way to put it. And so I've always wanted to be vegan. I've been vegan now for nearly 4 years. And I'm the fittest I've ever been. People say you don't get enough protein, this and that. But look, and the thing is, I'm not a vegan Nazi either. I know that everyone's on their journey, that they've got to, or they do whatever they're going to do. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, every body is different. So different people need different things. And like you said, they're on their journey. So
so I'm cool with that, you know what I mean? But for me, it has just my energy and my sensing energy and my sensations and all that is all enhanced, I think.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, then, so what would you say would be one of the most profound experiences, like ET contact experiences that you've had?
So I was telling you about this the other day, and I haven't really talked about this. So I had an experience where one of them was getting the photo of Shi-Ji, and I hadn't told you about that, but I got a photo of this being from the Pleiades, which is the lady that who started speaking to me in my head when I was a kid.
Okay. So
and
you got to know her better.
I got to know her later on, and she's wrote 2 books through me called the Book of Shi-Ji 1 and 2, which goes into our connection to Source, but also Earth's history and why we're in the predicament we are today and what we can do to change that. And so one day I was in my bed at home, and she landed on our bed, like my bedroom at the time, in her craft. And so it would be an overlap of realities. So if you can imagine like a ghost, it looked like a ghost. She was in apparition form in a craft that landed on my room, and I got a photo of that. And my wife at the time saw me take that. And then I said, there's a craft outside. We went outside and I filmed the craft above the house. Now that was just great because somebody got to experience that with me the entire thing. And other people like James Gilliland's had experiences with Shi-Ji. A lot of people have. But that was one cool one. And then also the experience I told you about where I had Michael and Metatron appear at the end of my bed. So do you want me to go into that one?
Yeah, I would love if you could go into that. Yeah.
So I haven't talked about this much because it does sound, well, it is what it is, but I was in my bedroom. It's funny, some of these things are in my bedroom, but a lot of this happens during the middle of the day. But these 2 beings appeared at the end of my bed, and I reckon they were like 8, 9 foot. I can't tell you exactly. And they look like Transformers, but made out of light. Okay. Wow. So one of them was like a purple colour, a beautiful purple, and one of them was like a blue. And at the time, I yelled out to my wife, and I said, my ex-wife now, and I said, who's the blue angel? I didn't even know why I said that. And she goes, it's Michael, and he's got a sword. And the blue guy that looked like a transformer had a sword. They even had geometric wings.
So you guys were both seeing the same image.
She wasn't seeing it, but she just somehow, she's very psychic, so she knew what to say to me, which was just weird.
But she's verifying the experience for you.
Well, in a way, yeah. So they showed me in my head, as I'm looking at them, like hills. Like imagine looking at hills, and it was these 2 beings, like, but I mean like thousands, if not a million of them, just covering these hills. and they told me that they're a brotherhood, and that anywhere there's an injustice in the universe, they go and recorrect things. And I got from this that the purple one was Metatron and the blue one was Archangel Michael. And so that sort of confirmed what she was saying as well. And then they told me to go outside. And I went outside, and right above our house was 3 red lights and a circumference to the red lights. So it looked like a flying saucer with these 3 red lights underneath. And I was just on my knees crying and swearing, like going, oh my God.
Because that's their ship. They're right there.
Yeah, they were basically telling me to go outside to verify that this is... And at the time I called my ex and her friend out, and we all looked at that above the house.
What an experience.
Yeah, so that's one of the most intense experiences I've had as well. And I disregarded a lot of the angelic and religious, all that stuff, because when my experiences got intense, I was like, you know, there's got to be something to it, but no, it's not religion. And then later on, before all this happened, I had an experience with these light blue light beings, which revealed to me they were the Elohim. And in the Bible, they talk about the Elohim, but they talk about it as a singular, not plural, unless you're sort of reading down the bottom of the script, pertaining to certain words within the script, I meant to say. And so they revealed to me that that's they're a race of beings, and it's actually our higher self that is in the blueprint of Source that divides up like a cell and comes into this realm to have these experiences. So our higher self is the Elohim. And that's
so that's the umbrella, kind of.
Yeah, umbrella term.
Umbrella term. And then from there it kind of trickles down into...
Well, if you look at our body, this would be Source, and all the cells would be the Elohim. And each one of us, our soul, is one of those cells, and it divides off to go and experience the other realms. Wow. Yeah, I hope I'm putting it in a way that's digestible anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. So could you then explain a little bit more about Metatron and maybe archangels, in case some of our viewers aren't familiar with the terms, or they're just kind of getting started?
Yeah. So within Source, which encompasses everything, they showed me Source once as a purple hue dodecahedron. And within that is a plane with hexagons that are this light blue light colour, which is the Elohim, the cells within it.
Okay.
And if you come out from that, either bandwidth way, this is the best way I can sort of describe it, like going up or down, outside that frequency is the colours of the rainbow. And within them is each a different realm. And I call it the geometric light realms, which they've taken me to and I've had experiences in. Now, the angels, a lot of them reside in that, or if not all of them reside in that, but then they can split themselves up like the Elohim have to go and experience the other realms, and they put themselves throughout all realms, basically like messengers to regulate things. They're almost like red and white blood cells within Source doing things, is the only way I can describe it.
Doing things necessary to make...
Do it to whatever it is they do, yeah.
Yeah.
So Metatron, it was revealed to me, is master of the electron. And so everything I've seen on a subatomic particle, an electron is a negative charged subatomic particle. And so when I had an experience one day, they showed me the makeup of the entire, everything in existence, and everything on the geometric blueprint was these purple hue soccer balls. They're dodecahedrons. And so Metatron is like everywhere at once. And so the advanced beings have shown me they don't need a UFO, they don't need a flying saucer craft, whatever you want to call it. They break down through their consciousness into one electron and then remanifest somewhere else in space and time from another electron. And they're just there. They're in their merkaba light body, but they can break that down and they can fly around in and do whatever they want. But that is the sort of the operation of how that works. It's all got to do with consciousness. And to do that, you need a high level of consciousness to access to be able to do that. So it's all got to do with consciousness, like where you're at. Are you in service? Are you not? You know, it's experienced. But Michael is meant to be the protector and regulator of that with Metatron as well.
Okay, so they're kind of like a team.
Yeah, but there's lots of other beings. I haven't been privy to those with experiences, but only what I can tell you.
And so with the merkaba, can you only reach that when you're a certain level of consciousness, or is that within everyone already?
Everyone's already got it. I guess what it is reconnecting with that part of yourself to be able to operate or use it and connect with it. Okay. But then you can bilocate, and you do that through consciousness as well, which is where you're here and then you can be somewhere else at the same time. You know, it's like I've told you, I've been on craft. When I'm filming crafts, I've been on the crafts looking down at me. Yeah. So it's like a mind meld sort of thing from Star Trek where
it's kind of like an Inception thing, because it's not like you're just astral projecting, but you're looking down at yourself filming the own craft that's there, correct? It's like you're really in two places at once.
Yeah. And you got full awareness, like I'm sitting here looking at you now.
Yeah.
I've got as much clarity and it's as vivid as
this real life right now.
Yeah, like in my mind at the same time. It's hard to explain, but then there's been a time when I've been outside the craft, looking down at the craft and me, and also in the craft looking down at me. So I had three split realities. So it's almost like you're on channel A and then channel B and channel C, and you've got full awareness of each station at the exact same time.
So with this kind of experience, did you ever feel that you're going crazy?
Because
it sounds like it could be really disorienting.
Yeah, I had my brain scanned at when all this started. I thought I was going nuts. There was times, look, I've been open about I wanted to commit suicide. I at the start of all this in recent years, I went through this alone. I lost my friends, I lost my job. Those that matter have stuck and stood by me. But the thing is, people go, I'm conscious, I'm aware, and then their life starts to go to crap in some aspects. And it's like, well, what do you expect to go from one reality to the other and go down that path? What's going to happen is everyone not in line with where you're at, they're just going to drop off. And it's not that they're bad or you're bad, and they may think you've gone around the loop. That's their opinion on the observation through their lens of this reality to you, because that's what seems to be going on, because all this is crazy. UFOs and spirituality and consciousness, it's all woo-woo. Yeah. But so that's what happened, and that's something I was unaware of at the time, was this is meant to be happening, even though it hurt, because I'm now breaking down my old patterns and programming, and I'm now in line with the awakening and healing of humanity. So therefore, I'm going in service mode, and whatever comes with it is going to come with it. So first I've got to get rid of all this old baggage, and now go down this path. And so it's like a soldier going into the military. You go to, well, in Australia, you've got like 30-day training. So in that 30-day training, they'll break you down and then rebuild you back up.
We have the same thing here. Just completely, they take whoever you were, wash you up, and then you become who they'd like you to be.
Exactly. So this is like spiritual boot camp. You know what I mean? When that happens, and people lose partners, they lose friends, they lose jobs or oppositions, or propositions, in terms of, being able to go up in their business or whatever, become CEO or manager,
That doesn't fit within the realm of where they're going frequency.
Exactly, yeah. So it's been crazy, but it is what it is.
Cool. So could you maybe tell us a little bit more about, so I feel like in the spiritual community, there are instances where people believe that everything is always okay, and that the idea that anything negative shouldn't even be paid attention to at all. What are your thoughts on that?
To use discernment. See, when all this started for me, like about 8-9 years ago, where it's got intense, I did think everything was love and light, because that was what my experiences were. Now, again, I was freaking out every now and then, but the experiences at the core of it were all good. But then I started to have negative things happen. And I was naive, and I was looking to a lot of people for help and researching all the time. And with that, there was some people that say there's no negative beings in the universe, and then they think that some people think it's all negative. It's a little bit of both. And so the thing is, I want people to just use their own discernment and come from the heart on things. And that's something I didn't have. So I got my butt handed to me, whether it was psychic attacks, military surveillance, and then, I've had experiences with reptilians physically and in my mind, a whole host of different things, parasitic thought forms. I'm sure black magic and other types of things are being used on me. And these are things to stop or put a blockage in front of you to stop with your process of why you're here.
To kind of scare you away from the whole thing.
Yeah, and at the same time to try and control you. I think to some aspect that's what they try to do with it. Now, I've been lucky to have realised all this when I did realise it, in terms of this is what's going on. But this is the stuff that a lot of people don't talk about in the UFO community, because it sounds woohoo. But that's just the fact of the matter is, once you're connected with all this and you start to really learn what's going on. And now I realise out of 1,000%, I wouldn't even know 0.001 out of 1,000% of what's going on still. I know what I know from my experiences, but now that I've almost like gone through a type of boot camp, it's like I've been lucky to be surrounded and have guidance from good people like James Gilliland and others, and even the beings have showed me and coached me through this. Because it's all about you being your own middleman, not them or not externally hearing this vibrational frequency. It's about you being your own middleman. And that's led to me. But you can't do that unless you're aware of the positive, the negative, those in service, those not in self-service, and then you've got the tricksters sitting in the middle as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not black and white. People want it to be black and white, and it's not.
So how did you go from kind of having all these negative attacks? Did you just start meditating more, kind of going into your heart center to figure out the right path to kind of protect yourself from all these kind of unwanted experiences?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. See, what happened to me, I started to meditate probably 8 to 12 hours a day.
8 to 12?
8 to 12 hours a day for a few years. And at the time, if I wasn't meditating, I was remote viewing. That's all I did.
So your energy was completely...
I couldn't even work.
Tunnel vision, focused on...
And if I did work, I worked at this accountancy firm, and I could only work like 4 hours a day because they knew what was going on with me. And so I was lucky they were sympathetic. And they knew everything about me. And so I was lucky I had to do it. There was no ifs or buts what I'm doing today. That's what I was doing. You
feel like an internal, like, I must do this. It's something that it needs to be done for me.
For me, yeah. And I had a lot of clearings and things I had to get out of my own field and my own mind from the years beforehand. With the people I hang out with, even though I love a lot of them still, and I was so lucky I could go from a clubhouse to a gang house to whatever, it didn't matter. But for me, I had things that were in me, like my own demons I had to sort out, that I'm sure we've all got to some extent. And so I was very lucky to be able to do remote viewing and meditation in such an intense way that I seem to have excelled exponentially with these abilities, and I've done Vipassana and different types of things. But that's what happened. So from that, I think things jumped forward exponentially for me in my abilities. And I had an experience one day when I was meditating, and the only way I can describe it is like a liquid energy went into my right shoulder, flipped me off a lazy boy couch into a heater, and I heard more of you. And in the coming days after that, I started to have past life and future life recall. Like I was given
truly
so much
vivid, as it's like in a dream. Sometimes they're so real. You had the senses and the feelings, and emotions, all encompassed.
Like you were hearing us talk about planets before. I didn't tell John about these planets because I know what they look like. I'm waiting for him to remote view them.
Yeah.
So we just had a friend here that I've given him coordinates for something to remote view, but I could tell him after he remote view what I've got in terms of I know
and see if it correlates. If it matches up.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of memory, but then I also had an experience with the Elohim, and I'm not sure if it was before or after this happened, where their craft landed on my lounge room, and half of it turned into a crystal cave, and the other half was a holographic projection. And they were projecting, and I at the same time I had memory of a deal that I made with them before I incarnated here.
A soul contract.
Yeah, and I call it Operation Starseed. And the book I've got, Operation Starseed, goes into an operation, how we've come here to help humanity, and we're like an antivirus for the virus that we've put on ourselves to help us think outside the box and go to the next level of evolution in consciousness.
So in this 3D realm that we are currently in, what would you classify as the virus that you call?
The virus would be, they show me that some of the Elohim that have come to these realms to experience this realm created an artificial intelligence, basically to keep a frequency throughout the universe where they can still exist without having to go back. And the energy to feed this artificial intelligence is the fear, negative energies, certain types of sexual energy, all sort of the negative of all emotions. And so that keeps this thing running. And there's also those which we could call the lower light or the Archon network. So there's reptilians involved, different types of shadow beings that someone might call them the jinn or whatever. There's all these different types of entities, but it's all for this one operation that they've got. And so we've come here, and see, that's even a reflection of source as well. Everything's a projection of from within. And so we are all a part of one consciousness interacting with itself, so that's part of it too. And so they've taken me out of this universe and shown me all the other universes with their planes and dimensions, and this is affecting that. So we're like a cancer cell to that at the moment. And so only the bravest and the strongest who come here, and even everyone watching this and the people here, they're all part of this. They're
So
all
we're all
part.
kind of on the same team to try and
Yeah.
grow our consciousness.
So what they show me is
Or
to.
just experience it, maybe.
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't got the answers for all that. But what they have shown me is that what's going on is almost like as how a cell regenerates every 7 years. Source does that with itself as well. But to go to the next evolution, we've got to deal with this virus. And what I mean by that is like how we treat each other, our social and economic system, everything is like we've got to transcend all this. And the only way we're going to do it is what Albert Einstein said, which is you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it. Therefore, you've basically got to think outside the box. And so once we think outside the box, there will be a big leap. And they show me that we're holding other beings from evolving to their next phase, their next plane dimension. So there'll be like an uprise for everyone.
If we finally get ourselves up a little bit more and a little bit more, everyone else can also continue their journey further.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, and the thing is, there's no right or wrong thing that you and I can do. It is what it is.
Because everyone's going through their own experience.
Yeah.
I mean, even if someone is, let's say, in a more lower vibrational state, it doesn't mean that they'll be there forever, first of all, and they can always change it. Because, I mean, I'm a firm believer that you can create your own reality.
Exactly.
And even if you may be in a not ideal predicament, you can start doing things internally and externally. Things will start changing your path, and you can create the reality you want. It's all within, though. You have to go inside to go out.
Well, that's the thing. And it's a projection, so, like, as weird as it is, like, well, why can't we just change this? If you make this not part of our reality so it doesn't exist?
Yeah, why not cancel it out completely?
But we've still got free will, and we can still do what we want. And some of us have taken on more than others. So I don't have the answers to everything. And these beings actually told me they don't either, which gave me hope in some aspect and seeing them in more of a light of even more truth. Because if they thought they knew it all, they would have tried to tell me that. They said there's still mysteries to them as well.
See, that's incredible. That's so incredible to hear. Because I feel like as humans, I've always thought we don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. But to hear a higher being from another realm, another dimension, tell you that even we don't know everything, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really great because, I mean, we're all just discovering new things and learning and just expanding ourselves.
Exactly.
Independent of like what realm or dimension we're in. We're all just learning and growing.
Well, that's what they told me while we left Source, was to go and experience and gain knowledge in every way, and that everyone's experience had to be completely different. And so now as well, there are beings that come directly from Source, God consciousness, and they will be downloaded people's lives because they've never had human experience before. So to have the human experience, you need to have the experience elsewhere. So they're being downloaded with it too. But the beings, that's what they said to me. They said, we're still learning as well. Like, they don't know it all. And so these are even the Elohim that are the cell of Source, like at the point of it all. But they did say to me that in between all these lives, that we do know it all. In the interplane, like in between worlds. There's even the beings that reside in these other worlds that could always be light beings. When they come out of that frequency into like this interplane, is like
a way station kind of like between.
It's between everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but they show, and I've had experiences there. And see, when you come back to the human body, a lot of it's filtered from the right to the left brain, then you sort of absorb it, and a lot of it's filtered out.
Mm-hmm.
But they said in that state, everyone knows everything because it's like the source field. It's like the collective consciousness. So even I've been on the crafts with some of these beings, and I know everything about them, and they know everything about me. There's just no... But there's no secrets. But there's still individuality too.
So they have personality, just like each human is very different and unique.
Yeah.
Same thing with other beings you've encountered.
And that's the thing. This is two-part. There is the individual aspect of spirituality and contacting whatever form, whether it's ET or whatever beings. Because ET is a small majority of this that I've interacted with. They're like, a lot of it's been realms that, I can't even tell you what or where they are, or it's just completely other realms. And then so if it's not ET, it's the spiritual aspect. It's one or two. And then you've got, the aspects that I was just about to go into, which is the individual aspect and then the collective aspect. So for contact, even with what James does and I do as well, James Gilliland here at the ECETI Ranch, you have individual contact, but then we're working on contact as a collective. And that's where we're going as a civilization, but you have to have balance of both. You need your own contact within, and then you need to be able to do it in a group within. And so if you go within, that's where you can connect to all that is, ever has, will be, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And it can be ET, it can be spiritual beings, it can be, stuff about geometric light realms, whatever. But it's all got to do with going inwards for this journey rather than being external.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So could you maybe tell us a little bit more about these geometric light realms? So I don't know if all our viewers are familiar with kind of sacred geometry and that whole subject in itself. Is it at all related? Like the things you see, do you see kind of sacred geometry there and like all the different kinds of shapes and structures?
Well, even here, if I look in the sky, sometimes I can see the flower of life over the whole planet in the sky. Like, I mean, way up.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the grid system, right?
And I can see energy, rainbow iridescent energy coming out of churches, casinos, shopping centres, like a food courts. I can see that, and that actually feeds the AI. It's sucking our energy out, and I can see it in the street grids. But to get back to your point with the geometry and all that, so they've shown me that each vibration has its own geometry. I don't know if you've seen like the simoscope things where they've got the buzzing and the noise going. You can see the sand on the thing and it does geometry.
And it changes?
Yeah.
All that stuff is so cool.
All right, so
I'll link a video.
Yeah, cool. So if you get that and you flip that to just go, oh, this is like, and then what they've shown me is each dimension has vibrational frequencies with it. So you can say like lower third and higher third. Like, it sounds weird, but there's beings right beside us in 3D right now. And this is not parallel world, sort of is, but they're just existing on a different vibration within the 3D bandwidth.
Okay. There's different tiers. There's different tiers within the 3D.
Yeah.
See, I've never contemplated that.
And then you've got parallel lives. So right now, you could have just say you had a boyfriend or whatever, and just say you go to break up, and in another life you're still with them. Like, every decision you make, there's always an offshoot of that reality still existing, but in your reality where you are focused with your pinpoint of awareness now, you haven't got that boyfriend.
You've simply just changed.
Yeah,
or you've changed your track.
Yeah, or I had this job and I had an opportunity to go to another position in it, and so basically you're not taking the position, but you have. So they've shown me the complex, and this is all fractal, just like geometry. So they've shown me that each vibrational frequency that you're attuned to, or whatever you're in, there's a vibration to it that's got its own geometry. But once you get up to the geometric light realms, when I've been there, the beings are made out of the geometry, the vibration of that, it's got a colour to it. So it's like each colour of the rainbow they've shown me. Some of them are blended in with different colours, and it's like you're running through geometry, but you're actually in that plane dimension. That's how it exists. And it's light. So everything is consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. And then you've got light, sound, and matter.
Which is all vibration and frequency.
But it's all consciousness. So it just depends on how dense you go into it, or how light you go up. So just before you hit source completely, you've got the geometric light realms, and then you've just got this all-knowingness. Completely all-knowingness. And so I'm trying to explain this because I'm trying to get multi-dimensional experiences, and I'm trying to put it in a linear way that you can fathom it.
Yeah, and digest it down.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the experiences you have are they're so expansive, and there's so much to take in at that time that you can't really find anything in 3D that would really compare.
Yeah. You can't. Like, some of the things, I don't know what they're called, they're like these scopes that you spin and they've got geometry.
Kaleidoscopes.
Sort of like that, but it's like living, and it's light. And if you can imagine that moving, and you're going
through that.
Yeah, and it's fractal and doing all weird stuff, and and so the beings reside in there, and they're made out of it as well.
And so do they look very geometric?
Yeah.
In
some of them
form?
do. Some of them can go from that form while you're still in it, and they can make a projection, or, pardon me, it could actually be biblical type figures that are actually ascended and they're in these realms, or angelic type beings, or they'll be like balls of light.
Have you ever seen a kind of like a rainbow being there? Since, I mean, if there's all these different colors. So
we were talking before about that planet near Orion. Well, the being there, he showed me as a human, but when I saw its pure state, it was actually a rainbow light being. And the funny thing is, it's actually, I'm a facet of it as well.
And it's a part of it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so and I backtracked looking into this, and what I can get is that they've shown me, just say this is your soul. You're going up this life. This can split off into another 7 lives. And so what happened was this part, when an experience had 7 lives going, one of those 7 lives ascended and turned into a rainbow light being, and all of them do it. So it's like an ascension process. They talk about it in, like, Asia, the Buddha light, the rainbow light body.
I was going to mention that they meditate to such a state that they just become this rainbow light body.
Yep. And so when this dude manifests back to human state, because it's a projection, because he's ascended, He just sits there and meditates all day. That's all he does. And I can describe to you the whole planet and everything. I'll tell you later anyway. But so I've seen the rainbow light beings, and what I understand is they're a blend of all those vibrational frequencies.
So then where do they reside then? Because that sounds like if they're of all vibration, they can just travel anywhere they want.
This is all.
They're unlimited.
They don't need food. They don't need conversations like us. They just it's hard to explain, but it's just they're in pure service mode, and it's just pure bliss being in their presence. It's crazy, but that's what it is. That's what it is. And so once you've got to the frequency of that, you are in pure service mode, because that's what you do. It's like everything is your playground, and you're just in this blissful state. It's like, why not do that? Mm-hmm. But everything's, that's fractal as well. It's all fractal.
I mean, I think all of life is fractal. Yeah. If you look at nature itself, you have the tree, right, and then the branches that go out of it, and that just it further and further gets deeper and deeper, and just divides itself. I mean, seashells everywhere geometrically is just perfect.
Yeah.
It's simple. It sounds like a really simplistic thing, but it's so profound.
And it's in
everywhere.
Front of us. Yeah.
It's just right in front of you. If you just take the time to notice it, it's right there.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know, but this is all us learning from each other. I never looked into all this sort of stuff. This has come from my experiences, and then you just have this all-knowingness that you got access to about it all. But it's crazy. So.
Wow. What would you suggest for some of our viewers who would say that, let's say they want to be on this really enlightened path, but they don't really know how kind of to start or go about it? Like you said, you started meditating quite intensely.
Oh yeah.
Let's say someone has to still have a full-time job, and they can't maybe dedicate 8 to 12 hours a day to meditate. Do you think that even just starting 10 minutes?
I reckon 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and see, we're told to clear our mind, and so many people come back to me, because I'm a meditation teacher as well, and I do a lot of different practices, but so we're told to clear our mind, and that can be good for some things like rejuvenation, clarity. Sometimes you will have experiences and wander off in that way too, but what I've been taught, how the ancient texts have been manipulated, is to take notice of your thoughts. So just 5 minutes in the morning or at night, away from the phone, in nature if you can, and just take notice, observe your thoughts, and pass them on. And what you'll start to notice is there is a dialogue and communication coming in, and you can direct that thought back to communicate. It's multidimensional communication you can do through that. I'll make sure you've got a balance of exercise, meditation, good food, even a little bit of junk. You need to treat yourself every now and then, but then also fun times. It'd be like have date night with your partner, or go and make sure you catch up with your mates, and then make sure you got you time as well, and family time. You need a balance, and that's the thing. When you're on this journey, you can get so obsessed. And look, I will say, research, question, everything. But a balance in everything and working on you is how your journey is going to, excel down a path that you can't even fathom, and just go with the flow. Like I told you, if I told you that I've been to Italy and done Japanese and Mexican TV, and I'd be, here now talking to you, and I'm in America 10 years ago, I'd be laughing at you. But that's what I'm doing, and it's all these opportunities come. So it's like if you follow that bliss, and you follow service, and you follow these opportunities, and you come from the heart, you really can do anything, and opportunities will come to you that you just can't fathom.
Just start manifesting. Yeah. But it's also because, like we were talking about earlier, the energy that you put out, it's going to attract.
Yeah.
Like attracts like. It's going to bring it towards you, and you can just do anything, really. I mean, it sounds woo-woo, but I mean, you really can do anything you put your mind to, any experience you'd like to have, but you have to put the vibration first. You can't just want it.
You attract it that way.
You have to put the effort and attract it through your energy.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly how it works. So, it's just working on yourself, and don't worry about anyone else. Just be worried about what you do, focus on you, and that will, it's all got to do with consciousness. Affirmations, vision boards, all these things can help as well, because you're putting the energy into something that you want to manifest. So you're attracting it to you. Mm-hmm. It's like throwing a rope out, and then you start wheeling it in.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it straight away, but you got to hook it, and then
it's there, and you just got to keep on pulling.
Yeah.
It's like a fishing line. The fish is there, but got to reel it all the way in.
Just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Peter, so much
That's
for
all right.
coming on the show with us, with me, and our viewers. Thank you as well. And
Yeah.
really, really appreciate it, and we'll definitely, hopefully, be talking to you sometime soon in the
Cool.
future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.